So my name's Mitch Spence. I was an MDiv student here at QTC, I think 2017, 2018, and my wife and I, Jess, returned to Zimbabwe, the country of our birth, at the beginning of this year, so that's 2019, to work with the local church there, local Presbyterian church, I suppose in two key priorities. One, to help them plant a new church within Bulawayo, and second, slightly more long-term, is to help see future leaders trained to faithfully proclaim the gospel in that context. It's been, on one level, great to be back in Zimbabwe. It's a place we grew up and know as home. And yet at the same time, it's been quite hard. Obviously, I assume you know something of the political and economic chaos that reigns in Zimbabwe, essentially living under oppressive rule. And so it's hard to see people suffering all around us, people that we know well, people who we're doing ministry with, people in the local church, but actually just the wider society in general. I suppose those two things that have raised for us a growing conviction of why we're back, a need for the gospel in a place like Zimbabwe, where the church has suffered as a result of the economic and political issues that they face for so long now. So much of, I think, the Zimbabwean church is longing for a new Zimbabwe. And whilst we pray for that and hope for that, and in some sense speak into those situations, as Christians we're longing for a new heaven and a new earth. And that's where our hope really lies. And so there's lots of work to be done, which is really exciting, also very daunting in terms of the amount of work that lies ahead of us. I suppose in terms of that church plant, we're meeting with two key groups already. So a group of students at the National University of Science and Technology, which is on the eastern edge of the city. There's about 20,000 students enrolled at that university. And no church holding to what we might consider to be an evangelical gospel or broadly, I suppose, a reformed understanding of the scriptures. No church like that within about a 6-kilometer walk, which we think is too far for most students who are living in that area. And so we've begun working on campus with students in one-to-ones or Bible studies, and a number of them have already begun asking us, where can we go to church? And at this stage, we don't really have an answer for them, other than to say we're working towards planting a church early next year. The other group we're working with is a group of young adults. We started a Bible study in our home, and that group now has about 12 to 14 of us young adults meeting week by week in our home. We've been going through the book of Ephesians, and it's been really encouraging as we've seen them grow, as they've encountered God in His Word, as they've come to learn how to read the Bible for themselves, and as we together have strengthened and helped one another to understand the gospel more and more. And of those 14, about 10 young adults are committed to that church plant, which again is really exciting for us as we hope to kick off next year with a new intake of students that'll happen around about March time in Zimbabwe. The training thing is a little bit on the back burner at this point, but as we establish the church plant and as we get more involved in the student work, it becomes a bit more of a natural progression in terms of seeing leaders trained through reaching them as students and discipling, seeing them discipled there. But then actually something, I suppose, a bit like what we might understand by an MTS type program, and for those who are then appropriate, some more theological training as well. And so that's the kind of longer term hope of that church plant as well.